Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to work on using context to find word meaning. Every encounter with an unfamiliar word is an opportunity for readers to expand their vocabularies. One way to learn the meaning of an unfamiliar word is to look for clues in the context. Context is made up of the words, phrases, sentences, and pictures that surround the unfamiliar word. Sometimes you are told to use the context to figure out the meaning of an unfamiliar word, but implementing the strategy can be challenging. Today I'm going to teach you how to use context effectively by modeling and guiding the process of finding helpful clues. Sometimes when we read, we come across a new word that we don't know. One way to figure out what it means is to look for clues in the words, phrases, or pictures around it. We call these context clues. Let's look at our sentence. I used a blank to cut my sandwich in half. Let's think together about what word would make sense in the blank. I think knife would be a good choice. Well, the word cut is an important context clue because it tells what the missing word does. The phrase cut my sandwich in half narrows it down even further. Now let's look at this sentence. The huge fire blazed until the whole room was warm and cozy. Well, as I look at the sentence, I can find some context clues in the sentence to help me understand what the word blazed means. Well, I see huge and I see fire. I see whole room, warm, and cozy. Now that I have some context clues, I'm thinking to myself, what do the clues tell me? Well, it tells me that blazing is something a huge fire does. Blazing makes things very warm. The things that get warm when something blazes can be as big as a whole room. Now I'm thinking, what do I think the word means? Well, taking those clues and thinking about what the clues tell me, I can come up with the word blazed means burned very fiercely. I can check my definition by inserting it into the sentence in place of the unfamiliar word. The huge fire burned very fiercely until the whole room was warm and cozy. You can verify if the sentence makes sense or not. Now let's practice with using context clues. As we look at sentence 1, 2, and 3, there are some questions that we will think about as we try to figure out what the red words mean in each sentence using our context clues. First, we're going to think, what do you think the underlined word means? Then we're going to think, how did you figure it out? And finally, we'll think, if you replace the underlined word with your meaning, does the sentence make sense? Let's look at sentence number 1. Living in a frigid or extremely cold place can be difficult. Well, if I want to know what the word frigid means, then I can use the context clues of extremely cold to help me figure out the meaning of the word. So if I take frigid out and only use extremely cold, would my sentence make sense? Let's see. Living in an extremely cold place can be difficult. Yes, it does make sense. Let's look at sentence 2. Animals adapt by changing in a way that allows them to live in a certain place. Let me think what the underlined word means. Well, I'm looking around the word and I see a phrase that says, by changing in a way. So I'm thinking that adapt may mean to change. So if I replace it in the sentence, let's see if it makes sense. Animals can change in a way that allows them to live in a certain place. Yes, it does make sense. Now let's look at sentence 3. The polar bear's funny snout and ears help it survive or stay alive in the cold Arctic. Well, I'm thinking that survive means to stay alive. Let's replace it in a sentence to see if it makes sense. The polar bear's funny snout and ears help it stay alive in the cold Arctic. Yay, it does make sense.